We encourage you to introduce yourself in the chat, your name, your organization, where you are joining us from today. And we'll be beginning shortly. We'll be sharing our agenda for this webinar as we proceed to start. Thank you. Greetings once again. Thank you for joining us. We are delighted to have you with us on today's webinar. Today's webinar is about exploring the psychosocial well-being and educational performance of children who have experienced displacement and armed conflict. My name is Linda Kairaba. I am the moderator for today, and I would like to welcome our distinguished presenters from Ethiopia, Dr. Yiksau, Dr. Fantahun, and Mr. Fiseha, who will be listening from. So this webinar will be 1 hour, and so in order to manage time, we shall quickly have an introduction video about the AfriChild Centre and the work that we do. And then we shall have introductions from our speakers. And then we have a presentation about today's webinar. Then intermittently, we shall also run sample questions about this topic and have a Q&A session. I also encourage you to, while you're listening in, type your questions in the chat so that we attend to them once the presentation is done. When the Q&A session is done, we shall wrap up and then close our webinar. Thank you. So we shall start with the video.
Welcome to the AfriChild Centre, where we strive for an Africa where children's well-being is realized for sustainable development. The AfriChild Centre exists to generate research that informs policy and practice for the well-being of children.
Established in 2013, the AfriChild Centre exists to improve the lives of children across Africa. As an institution, our vision is to see an Africa where child well-being is realized for sustainable development. We recognize that across Africa, and specifically sub-Saharan Africa, children continue to face challenges across the domains of child health and survival, child protection, child development, and child participation. And as an institution, through research, our mission is to generate evidence that will improve practice and policy. We do this through rigorous research, capacity building, with an intention of building a cadre of researchers across Africa that will contribute to generating evidence to improve both practice and policy. But we are also intentional on our engagement at policy level, ensuring that research is undertaken with the intention of improving our legislative and policy frameworks. We are keen on partnerships. We believe that we cannot do this alone. We need to work closely and in collaboration with like-minded organizations, with partners, communities, and more especially with children involved in echoing and sharing the aspirations and the vision.
Join us in our mission to transform the lives of children across Africa. Together, we can make a lasting impact. To learn more about the AfriChild Centre and how you can support our work, visit our website or follow us on social media.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for sharing that. I hope you enjoyed the video. And at this juncture, we are privileged to have joining us today three accomplished scholars whose work focuses on early childhood development, education, and well-being. Dr. Fantahun, who is an associate professor of early childhood development and education at Addis Ababa University. His research explores children's holistic development, school readiness, early childhood education, quality and teacher education. He has extensive experience in research, teaching, and international academic collaboration. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Dr. Fantahun. On the panel today, we also have Dr. Igzao, who's an associate professor at the Center of Early Childhood Care and Education at Addis Ababa University. He has played a pivotal role in shaping early childhood education policy, teacher training programs in Ethiopia, and he has held several academic leadership positions throughout his career. And last but not least, we have Mr. Fiseha, who's an academic and a researcher with over 12 years of experience at Addis Ababa University. His work focuses on inclusive education, early childhood care and education, parental engagement, and educational policy and practice. He has also contributed significantly to research and consultancy work aimed at improving educational outcomes for children. We're honored to have all these three speakers with us today, and we look forward to learning from their expertise and experiences. Join me in welcoming them. Thank you.
Mr. Fiseha, you are welcome. Please go ahead and share your slides.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do you see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Linda, and thank you, AfriChild, for organizing this webinar. And I would like to say this is really a pleasure and honor to be here with you today. I would like to start by expressing my sincere gratitude to the organizer for inviting us to be part of this webinar and present our research finding. So today we are going to present a research entitled The Psychological Well-being and Educational Performance of Children who Experience Displacement and Armed Conflict in Ethiopia. This research is part of the seed grant by AfriChild. So I would like to say, acknowledge AfriChild for supporting or for funding this research and helping us throughout the research process in different ways. So I would like to say thank you, AfriChild. This research is conducted by three researchers from Addis Ababa University and other universities in Ethiopia. Fantahun Fissa Teklu, Dr. Fantahun Admas, Dr. Yigzau Ndalkaቸው Admasu, and Dereje Dekamo are members of the research team. Dr. Fantahun and Dr. Yigzau are here with us today, and Dr. Dereje and Ndalkaቸው will join us later. So 5 of us will be here. I will make the presentation, and I will try to make as brief as possible to have enough time for the discussion. And Dr. Fantaun and Dr. Igza will also engage during the question and answer session and during the discussion. And after the presentation, if they have anything to add on the presentation, they are also welcome. So without further ado, let me proceed to the presentation. This is research on the psychosocial well-being and educational performance of IDP children and armed conflict children in Ethiopia. When I come to the introduction session, as we all know, every child deserves a safe and protective environment to survive, to grow and thrive. So children's development, especially during the early childhood period, depends on the quality of environment, the quality of interaction, the quality of educational opportunities they receive from their environment. However, unfortunately, millions of the world's children are denied this fundamental right due to war, armed conflict, displacement, and other unfortunate circumstances. For example, if you can see very recent reports by the UN and the UNICEF, we can see that more than 473 million children of worldwide are just affected by armed conflict. Nearly 49 million children have been displaced by violence around the world. And the United Nations also reported that in 2024, there is the highest number of grave violences against children, including killings, rape, school destructions, abduction, denial of humanitarian access, and other grave violations are happened on young children. This is very unfortunate, and all these unfortunate circumstances really affect the development and survival of young children. And armed conflict and displacement significantly impact the lives of young children. For example, it destroys their social settings. Schools are destroyed. It also puts children in very difficult situations. Great violences of their rights, destructions of social networks. Their families are torn apart, and essential services for young children, including schools, health facilities, educational playgrounds, all these important settings of children are destroyed by armed conflict. And the destructions of the environment also causes limiting the educational opportunities of young children, and children also impacted by armed conflict and displacement experience different psychosocial problems, which also further risks their healthy development in the future. And when we say specifically the Ethiopian context, Ethiopia is ranked one of the top nations of internal displacement. So different reporters, both international and local reporters, indicated that a very high number of internal displacement occur in Ethiopia, and significant number are young children. So displacement and conflict leads to, as I mentioned earlier, displacement and armed conflict leads to psychosocial and educational challenges. For example, if you see the educational challenges, as I mentioned, destruction of schools, many schools are destroyed. For example, in Ethiopia, it affects access to education. Many children, for example, a report indicates that in some parts of Ethiopia, 4.5 million children are currently out of school. So school access are also interrupted by armed conflict, lack of teachers to provide quality education. So both IDP children and host communities are affected. The educational experiences of IDP children and host community children are affected by armed conflict and displacement. For example, when the host communities, when one area hosts, a great number of displaced children. So the limited educational resources are just, strained because of the high number of displaced children and displaced children. Therefore, armed conflict and displacement significantly impacts the educational access, educational opportunities, and the educational performances of young children. The psychosocial, when we see the psychosocial impacts of displacement and armed conflict, for example, PTSD, different studies reported that many children who experienced displacement, experience PTSD, depression, anxiety, and other emotional and psychosocial problems are also prevalent among displaced children. But more tragic is that these consequences are very long-lasting consequences. Both the educational and psychosocial consequences of armed conflict are long-lasting. For example, loss of human capital. When our children do not get equal, quality educational access, and high dropout and other distractions of schools and educational facilities, leads us to lose critical human capital, and also limits future productivity. If the young are not getting quality education, so future productivity will be also at risk. So unstable employability, and it also perpetuates war and displacement, perpetuates the cycle of violence and the cycle of vulnerability. So the impact is not only limited on those children who experienced the conflict. It also has an intergenerational transmission of poverty and vulnerability. Therefore, the armed conflict and displacement are significantly impacting young children in several ways, and the impacts are multifaceted. So why this research? So regardless of the evidence that displacement and armed conflict are in alarming rate, and the impacts of the psychosocial and educational impacts of displacement and armed conflict are documented, there are only few studies specifically in Ethiopia which integrates the psychosocial and educational impacts of children. For example, if we see, there are few studies which try to investigate the psychosocial and educational impacts of children, IDP children separately, but studies that integrate both variables are very limited. And as we all know, the impacts of displacement is not limited in one area. Rather, it is a very multifaceted, and the different areas of children are impacted. Therefore, integrating psychosocial, at least psychosocial and educational impacts, help us to understand the holistic impacts of the displacements on the development of young children. For example, Debre Birhan, the city where this study is conducted, hosted more than 25,000 IDPs during the time when the study was conducted, and it revealed several shortages in educational and psychosocial support. So there are more than, and as the Ethiopian statistics indicated, 50% of the Ethiopian population is considered to be young children. So if we say that 25,000 IDPs are in the area, so 50% of this population are children, and they are not getting educational and psychosocial supports, which critically impede their future development. Therefore, this study aims to identify the factors that affect the psychosocial well-being and educational experiences of children in displacement and armed conflict areas. And we also try to assess the prevalence of psychosocial and educational challenges so that interventions will be aligned based on the results of this study. To conduct this study, we designed an appropriate research method. When you see the design of the study, we use exploratory sequential mixed method design. That means first we conducted the qualitative study. The qualitative study is basically used to explore the experiences of parents and children from throughout the journeys of their displacement. So this exploration helps us to understand the situation, the contextual factors that leads to educational and psychosocial problems, and based on the qualitative results, we designed the quantitative phase so that appropriate tools and procedures are selected based on the qualitative results. So this is exploratory sequential mixed design, which help us to understand the multifaceted nature of displacement and armed conflict, specifically in relation to the psychosocial and educational experiences of young children, both from the parents' perspective and from the children's perspective. And we also include other participants. The study area. The study was conducted in Debre Birhan town, which is 120 or 30 kilometers from the capital, Addis Ababa. Participants of the study, children, parents, teachers are participated in the study. For example, children, 150 children, 75 from the IDP camp, and 75 children from the host community. So the host community is basically involved as a comparison group. If the psychosocial and educational experience of children are compared against the psychosocial and educational experience of children in the host community who are in the same age with the IDP children. Four IDP parents were also interviewed to understand their experiences and their children's experiences and the contextual factors that leads to displacement. Teachers, IDP teachers who are working with IDP children, and children, 7 children were also interviewed. 7 IDP children were also interviewed to understand their experiences, to explore their experiences. Regarding instruments, both qualitative and quantitative tools are used. For the quantitative research, we use IDELA. IDELA is used to assess the educational experiences of children, and SCDQ, Strength is a difficulty questionnaire used to investigate the psychosocial experiences of young children. In the qualitative dimension, FGDs, interviews and observations are also conducted. Interviews with teachers, FGD with parents, and we also conducted observation of the IDP camp to see the physical environment and the teaching learning processes in the IDP camp. So data, so both quantitative and qualitative methods of data analysis we use mean, standard deviation, t-test, and thematic analysis for the qualitative research has been used. So let's proceed to the major findings. The major finding, as I mentioned earlier, the qualitative study has been conducted before the quantitative one. So the qualitative data gave us a rich perspective about the challenges, the contextual factors, and the real experiences of young children and their parents. And the qualitative data, the qualitative result is thematized into three stages. The first stage is a stage where children and parents experience displacement. That means the experiences they encountered during displacement. That means we explore the factors and the experiences that leads to displacement. And the second stage is the journey from hometown to the IDP campus. And the third phase of experience is children's experience in the IDP campus. So when we see the challenges during displacement, most of the children, most of the displacements are occurred due to armed conflicts. And during that time, children used to be live with their parents peacefully, and they had, they had a good life, a decent life, and they were living peacefully. So out of nowhere, so conflict is occurred in that area. So because of that armed conflict, children experienced and they witnessed different tragic actions. For example, they witnessed, lootings of their properties, burnings of their houses, their cattle, and all their properties are taken by, armed groups. They also experienced physical punishments, beatings of themselves and beatings of others and their family members. They witnessed killings of, to others, and they also witness killings of some members of their family, threatening, to leave the area, and some children also lost one or two of their parents. So this is a very tragic situation for young children who are not even able to comprehend what was going on during that time. So in their that is a critical moment that really shapes, the psychosocial experience of these children, that shapes their development, and that puts that is a serious traumatic experience for the young children, which might contribute to their psychosocial experiences during the study where we assessed them. And after this incident, parents and children forced to leave the area, and they just decided to leave the area, and the journey from their hometown to the camp, that was also very tragic, and as there were a lot of uncertainties, because when they leave their hometown, they don't know where to go. They have no idea about the destinations and where to settle. Therefore, that is a very uncertain. It is also a very significant experience for young children. They were just leaving the areas, and they were not sure where to settle, and there are a lot of uncertainties during the journey. So children suffered a lot of several challenges during this time, which impact their life for short and long term. Children, for example, were hungry and stressed during the journey. They covered long distances on foot. When we say long distances, they covered, hundreds of kilometers on foot from their hometown to the IDP campus. And they were threatened by armed groups during the way. There were a lot of checkpoints in several checkpoints. They passed through several checkpoints. Those also very frightening for the children. They also experienced different illnesses, and during the journey they stayed. The day in nearby forests, and they travel during the night. So all that things end, during the journey, they didn't have anything to eat, so they lost all their belongings. Therefore, at some point, their parents go to the nearby towns, and they beg for food and water and clothes and the like. And so we witnessing that their parents are begging are also a very sad experience for young children. All the prides they have, all the trust they put on their parents, will be are just destroyed by the fact that their parents are helpless and end up to be a beggar or begged in their way, to keep their life. So that's also a very critical experience for young children, which also leads to the psychosocial challenges they faced. And during in the camp, children also experience different challenges in the camp, like, for example, lack of food, lack of clean water, lack of health facilities, and the camps are very crowded, and the camp area is very dusty during the summertime, and during the winter it's also watershed also pass through their tents. And so even the areas, the camps are located in the area which is far from 15, 16 kilometers far from the center of the town. It's also difficult for them to access some services in the town. And the area is also an area where armed conflict are currently happening. So this and other things also makes the camp life very challenging for the young children and their parents. So all these experiences that children face during the three phases contributed to their psychosocial challenges and educational experiences. Now let's proceed to the quantitative findings. The quantitative finding, for example, when we see the psychosocial problems, which is assessed by strengths and difficulties questionnaire. So the qualitative data analysis reveals that children experienced psychosocial problems. I mean, the qualitative data also indicated that, I mean, the interviews from parents, teachers, indicated that children are experiencing a lot of behavioral problems, social problems, and psychosocial problems. And this qualitative findings is also confirmed by the quantitative assessment. For example, the HDQ assessment indicated that 47.1% of children are assessed, labeled as abnormal. That means they are experiencing abnormal emotional, behavioral, and social behaviors. So emotionally, they are not stable. They experience anger, they experience frustration, loneliness, withdrawal behavior, and other behavioral and emotional difficulties are observed. So it is a very high number. 47.1 is a very high number of children experiencing psychosocial difficulty. Even the borderline, which is 37.3% of children who are labeled as borderline, it doesn't mean that they are not experiencing psychosocial problems. Even if the tool labeled as borderline, they are experiencing critical psychosocial problems. And if intervention is not provided as early as possible, those borderline children will also join the abnormal group. So it is a very high number of children who are experiencing psychosocial problems. So a significant number of children showed psychosocial problems exhibited in the form of emotional problem, conduct problem, hyperactivity, and socialization problems. They explain, that means parents, especially parents and teachers during the interview, explain that children are completely different in emotional expression before and after displacement. So children, for example, showed like fear, anxiety, sadness, anger. Even significant number of children showed, a feeling of, revenge. So they wanted to revenge those who just perpetuated all the problem they faced. So this also, a feeling of revenge, keeps, I mean, the long-lasting consequences. It is a long-lasting consequence because it perpetuates a cycle of violence, a cycle of vulnerability, and a cycle of, conflict. So these are a very critical psychosocial problems that needs, attention from all stakeholders who are working around young children. For example, according to the interviews, there are also children who are withdrawn and unhappy and not responsive to social communications. So significant number of children are experiencing psychosocial problems. And when we come to the educational challenges, the displacement also and the armed conflict and the displacement poses serious educational challenge on children. For example, as the interview revealed, children's education has been interrupted for many years as a result, they are lagged 4 or 5 years behind their age. As I have mentioned earlier, for example, the journey from hometown to the IDP camp took several months, sometimes several years. So and when they come to the IDP camp, educational opportunities are very limited. So because of this, significant number of the IDP children are not still get access to education. And in Ethiopia, the educational opportunities for IDP children are not the responsibility of the government. So it is NGOs and other organizations are responsible to create educational opportunities for IDP children, and NGOs also create educational opportunities for young children, based on the resources they have, based on the budget they have. So they create only limited opportunities, access to education. Therefore, significant number of children are not still get access to education. I mean, during the study, access to educational opportunities. Therefore, so many IDP children are out of school. So the other challenges children face is change in the language of instruction. That means, the IDP children in the Debre Birhan site came from different regions of Ethiopia, where different languages has been used as a language of instruction. But when they come to the IDP camp, the language of instruction is basically the language of the region. Therefore, there is a change in the language of instruction, which significantly contributes to their educational performances. It also significantly contributes negatively to their early literacy development. So these educational challenges of young children are also assessed by IDELA. So the IDELA result, as you can see from the table, indicates that, for example, motor development is okay, which is they just mastered motor development. But as you can see, the early literacy and social emotional development are the lowest scores. That means the overall mean score indicates that children are in the mastering level. I mean, the overall ideal score, the 5 domains which integrate the motor skill, early literacy, early numeracy, and the social emotional development. So the overall performance of children is in the mastering level. That means it seems that they are performing okay. But when we see each developmental area one by one, for example, early literacy and social emotional development are at the emerging performance range. That means their scoring levels, they are not still based on their age, based on their developmental level. That means they are not mastering the age appropriate literacy skills. They didn't master the age appropriate social emotional development during the study. So which is also very frustrating. Why it is frustrating? Because the most critical developmental domains are affected by by IDP. That means early literacy are a very critical development, which also affects children's educational performances, educational engagement. It also affects the cognitive development of children. So early literacy is a very critical, a very important developmental dimension, which is significantly impacted by displacement. And social-emotional development, which is considered to be the hub of development, is also significantly lower than the age-appropriate social-emotional development. So if social-emotional development are affected, it also affects educational performances, social interaction, and other critical developmental areas. I mean, virtually all developmental areas are affected if social emotional development and early literacy development are poorly performed. Therefore, the most important developmental dimensions are affected. So this is a very frustrating, and it also needs a close attention and early intervention required in these two areas. A notable pattern is that social emotional development domain are not only had the lowest mean score, but also the largest variability. That means indicating a wide individual differences among children based on the level of experience, the level of adversity they passed through. So this is also very significant output. I mean, significant result. Early literacy and social emotional development emerge as key areas requiring targeted intervention to help children, have healthy development in the future. The educational challenges, a statistically significant difference were found in early literacy between the host community children and the IDP children. A statistically significant difference was found in the areas of early literacy. That means the host community children performed better than the IDP children in the areas of early literacy, which also indicates that the IDP context affects the literacy development of young children. While numeracy and motor skills appear relatively resilient to displacement, early literacy is particularly vulnerable, reinforcing the need for targeted reading intervention in the IDP schools. So as a conclusion, so we have concluded that significant number of children, IDP children, exhibited emotional, behavioral, and social problems. Significant number of children are struggling with the areas of literacy and emotional development. Therefore, we have recommended that mental health and psychosocial support interventions are suggested, play-based, trauma-informed, and targeted literacy instructions are required to help children, IDP children, cope up with the challenges they are currently experiencing. So thank you for listening. Maybe we can now proceed. If you have any question, you can raise your questions. Maybe Linda, you can now facilitate the question and answer sessions or whatever schedule we have. And as I have told you, Dr. Fantaun and Dr. Rizal are with me today. So if they have anything to add on the presentation, or they can also add. If they don't have anything to add, they can engage in the question and answer session. Thank you, Linda. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisia. Thank you for that insightful presentation. It's really thought-provoking. I hope it has given all of us, including the participants, an opportunity to reflect on the realities of many children and things they continue to face. And I hope we can also reflect on the role we can play in creating a supportive and responsive system for them. Yes, in the interest of time, we'll now move to the question and answer session. We would love to hear from you. If you have any question, kindly post it in the chat or use our question and answer function. Also, please take time to respond to our 4 questions. We only have 2. Based on your experience and you're listening in today, what do you believe is the most crucial barrier to education performance of children affected by displacement and armed conflicts? And the second question, which is our interest in understanding your perspectives and experiences presented here in this webinar. Really, we are interested in understanding your perspectives and experiences. So I invite you to take a minute or 2 to respond and share your questions and comments in the chat. Thank you. If there are any additions to the presentation from Dr. Fantahun or Dr. Yigsel, you're also welcome to make any remarks and comments. Thank you.
Hello, Linda.
Yes, we can hear you. Please come through. Dr. Yigsel, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Already Fisa covered it, but let me capitalize on one relevant point already presented by Fisa, that is the problem we have witnessed in his presentation, the early literacy part and the emotional part, particularly the early literacy part. You know, as Fisa mentioned, the language instruction is already changed. And then you will see different challenges with the language, with children's language development. You know, you will find the consonant and vowels of the two languages are not the same. If you want to educate children about phoneme manipulation, that is phonological awareness part, then it will be very difficult for children to understand, because there is vowel in their mother language, but when they displace it and they are expected to attend with the other language, and there are serious challenges in manipulating the grapheme part, that is the sound of a letter and alphabet. Even when you plan to help them or educate them phonics, then it will be very difficult. So there are serious challenges with the proper implementation of this receptive expressive language development part, the oral language development plus the phonological language development and the phonics language development. So the challenges they have encountered, and in addition, the language instruction is changed. All these factors hammer the expectation that the children will acquire higher skills in the early literacy areas. There are different sub areas of early literacy. Thanks so much. Simply to add this one.
And to highlight that it's a similar issue, ethnicity. It's something we also face here in Uganda, especially in areas of, especially in the refugee settlements, and it really does affect children's ability to learn those different components of the phonics and what is required of their level in the countries in which they reside. Thank you for that. Any other additions?
Okay. Can I come in, Linda?
Yes, please. You're welcome.
Oh. Thank you very much. Just to reflect on Claire's question, that is just about the performance of children in some academic areas while they are in this problem. Yeah, actually, words fall short to explain the situation children are in. It's really saddening that the young children are very much suffering because of this armed conflict and displacement. They experience these both problems. They were displaced from their local area, and at the same time they experienced the conflicts. But still, there are children who are resilient, and the community who are living in the IDP are also resilient, because the situation is very much saddening, and they are living the worst life that a human being cannot actually stand. But still they are hopeful, and they're trying to support their children. Just to mention one example, there are teachers among these displaced people. They were teachers in their local area. After being displaced, they serve as teachers and they are trying to support these children. And because of that, in the area of early numeracy, children are performing well, but it's also the aggregate number that includes children in the community. When it is disaggregated, children in the IDP camp are lagging behind. But still, NGOs are there trying to support these children. Parents are trying to support their children. And among these displaced people, there are teachers by profession, and they are supporting these children. And so that these support systems might, help these children to withstand this challenge. Just to reflect on this one. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you for that reflection, Dr. Fantahun. Without further ado, I'll share some questions coming in from the chat. We'll take 3 questions, and then Dr. Fantahun and Dr. Yigsao and Mr. Fisa, you can decide how you would like to respond to these questions. So we have one question that says, thank you for this insightful presentation. It's interesting to see that some of the education outcomes were relatively high among children faced with displacement. Could that be as a result of many NGOs and additional support that goes to the displacement affected communities? And then we have a second question. Are there any approaches on ground that parents or schools use to support their children's social and emotional well-being? And the third question, given the different competing priorities highlighted in the presentation, where currently do psychosocial interventions fall among addressing educational, material, and psychological needs? Are they more integrated approaches that already exist? So I think we'll take those 3 questions and move from there. Over to you, our speakers.
Okay. I think can we read the questions from the chat box? I didn't capture the question in the question and answer chat box is the one that is asked by Claire. What could be the reason behind the relatively high literacy? I think that is what I have addressed earlier. Yes. By Blessing James, given the different competing priorities highlighted in the presentation and poll questions, where currently do psychosocial interventions fall among addressing educational, material, and psychological needs? Are there more integrated approaches that already exist? Yeah, in this regard, the very problem is that services are very much fragmented. Say, X NGO will come and do something, and Y NGO will come and provide some support. Z NGO might come, parents will do something. Individuals, after visiting and understanding the situation, by just simply volunteering, they will, collect material supports and come. This fragmented support system didn't actually help them. So we have also a kind of dissemination workshop last time, and we recommended this integrated and systematic support systems that integrates the educational and psychosocial support. That's why when we study this research, we brought educational and psychosocial issues, because when we address these children, we should not, separately address the problems. Rather, we have to see the whole child, and our support systems should be holistic. But as far as our understanding goes, the support system is very much fragmented, and I can say that there is little support system, even just to address separately. And they are living in a very difficult situation. That's why earlier I say that words fall short to explain the situation that children are in. We cannot explain it fully with this research. The reality is the worst that a human being should not pass through. So there is no integrated support system, and that is what we also suggested as a support system. That is just integrated one. Thank you. My friends would address the other questions if they have read while I'm just talking. Over to you. Otherwise, let me read the questions I didn't see.
Okay, let me add on what Dr. Fantaon had said, especially the support, as it is mentioned. There is no systematic and integrated support that address, the needs of young children in the IDP campus, and most of the supporters come from NGOs. And when NGOs come to the IDP camp, they come as a project, and every project has its own life cycle. So when they come, when the project life ended, so the NGO, just interrupt it is, the support that provided to the children. So until the next NGO comes with a support, the children suffer a lot of challenges in shortage of educational materials, shortage of basic needs, and shortage of food. So the basic problem is most of the supporters come from NGOs, makes the lives of children in the camp very, very difficult. And the other problem is there is no coordination between those who want to help the IDP children. So for example, there is for example, when the children, one NGO comes with educational materials, and because there is no coordination, because there is no information, the other NGO comes with the same type of educational materials, while the children needs other supporters in the areas of clothes or foods or the other supporters. So there is no coordination, there is no systematic support, and most of the supporters come from NGOs, which makes the support system very, very challenging. Thank you.
Only one point. Okay.
Okay, proceed.
Let me just provide one response on the psychosocial part. This is a serious challenge we have witnessed in our study, and in our findings, we have suggested to provide structured kinds of intervention on psychosocial part. Again, if you in the IDP camp, we didn't get again structured kind of support on this area, psychosocial part. We even discussed it in our dissemination workshop. If we train parents on psychosocial issues, if we give intervention for parents, they can easily just help their children and even the other parents in the IDP camp. The sustainability issue will not be a question if we again provide intervention for parents. That was what we have discussed with them, and we have included in our recommendations. But this part was not as such very effective if we see it well. The education part is improved because I think the teachers are from the displaced one, and they are getting support, their salary from NGOs. At least they are stable. they know the challenge, and they are effectively handling the learning teaching. They are supporting them. Maybe this part, because of they are with them, they know their lesson, and they are getting support mentally, maybe. Otherwise, again, the community is supporting them. Thank you.
Okay, I have seen the other question that is asking about whether the study considered factors such as age, gender, time, and duration. Yeah, actually, we tried to see, but children are in the same age, and there was no gender difference, and the time and duration are also the same for all children, because they were displaced from the same area and they experienced the same problem. And we didn't actually include the coping mechanism in the study because of the research scope. If there are other questions, we can address. I think there is another question. The research seems to focus on parent-led household. Is there any information on child-led household that probably have no idea on how to navigate accessing support system? Have this project taught to involve and support these family types as part of the intervention plan? Yeah, actually, there was no this child-led households, and we didn't consider that one. It's really difficult to, I mean, lead a house in this IDP contexts by these children. It's horrible and it's difficult, and you can't imagine. You know, let me tell you the situation that they are in. Imagine a warehouse which is like 3,000 or 4,000 meters square, originally constructed just to store something. But now, because there is no space, these displaced people are there. So there is no privacy. There is no private space. There is no private belongings. I mean, there are no private belongings. They live together. So I can say we can't imagine, you know, households that are led by parents or children. That is just the situation that these displaced people are living, or especially children are living in. Thank you.
And regarding the last question, Dr. Fantawan responded to it properly. But in addition, children are living in the camp not only with their parents, but also with their extended families. There are uncles, aunts, grandparents. So even if their parents are not there, so they are living with their with other family members, grandparents, uncles, aunts, and it is alike. So there is no such thing as a house led by the child. If as long as an adult, a family member, an adult is there, even if there is such thing as house, the older one are taking care of the businesses in the house. So they are living with their families and extended parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those responses and for your thoughtful questions and reflections that have been shared. It's encouraging to see that we have received so much engagement in today's topic. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I'm being informed by my team, and we will not be able to exhaust all questions. So for those questions that have been attended to, but I do believe that we've tried to respond to most of them, we'll compile them and share them with our presenters and do our best to respond to them after this webinar. As we close today's webinar, we would like to extend our sincere gratitude to our presenters for sharing their valuable insights. And to each and everyone who has been able to take time out of your busy schedules to join today, your participation and thoughtful contributions have made this session very meaningful. We're also excited to share that our next webinar is tentatively scheduled for the 25th of August. We have something exciting planned for you, and we look forward to bringing you another enriching discussion. So please keep your eye out for our invitation and any other details in the coming weeks. Thank you once again for being part of today's conversation and for your continued interest in advancing research and practice that improve the well-being of children. We hope to see you again. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
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 Thank you very much. Thank you for creating this opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.